I want to first of all say that I love you. You 15, all of you are the people that I love most on earth. And I appreciate you bearing with me. Because I know some of the stuff that I post sounds crazy. But then again, if I'm aware that it sounds crazy, or if I say this is going to sound crazy, that should give you a clue that perhaps I'm not insane. Because if I was insane, this would not sound crazy to me. And I'm getting frustrated at you why it sounds crazy to you. Or while you're asking me if I need to be back on my medicine, and I'm getting really, really, really frustrated because, can't you see? As I'm saying things that make absolutely no sense at all, it makes perfect sense to me and it should make perfect sense to everybody. And so I'm going to keep talking to you and trying to convince you that this crazy shit, that's coming from a mentally ill mind is sanity, And so the fact that I know that it's crazy, I know that it sounds crazy. But then again, here we are. I'm presenting it to you anyway. Because as crazy as it sounds, it's reality. And I wish it wasn't. I wish I could be like one of those normal guys, like the former bass player in my band, Josh, or his friend Sean, where everybody just loves him. And there's nothing not to love. They are great guys. They never really bother anybody. They're just good people. And nobody has a problem with them. They just come and just, they walk in and everybody, it's just universally accepted that this is a good person. And I just, there's just been times in the past where it's like, man, it would be cool. Because that's not the case with me at all. And there are two people most responsible for that. One, Richard Finley, who I thought was my best friend. Grandma knew from the very beginning, Rick's not your friend. And she told me and my mom that for most of, the rest of her life. Until the age of 23, where I realized, no, he's not my friend. And I was hurt, and I was like, no. And I realized it. And then, 10 years later, he just confesses everything to me. You and Josh were great together. I wanted Josh for my band. I wanted you out of LA. So, and so he made it happen. He also happens to be one of the most intelligent people I know on earth. One of the most well-read people I know on earth. So because of his intelligence, he could do a lot of damage. And he did. He destroyed my name and reputation at Faith Landmarks and among the Richmond crowd. And the proof is in the pudding. I remember I put out these songs, right, that I was working on back in the day on MySpace when that was a thing. Before Facebook, but MySpace. When MySpace was a jam, before it became the ghetto of the internet, I put this stuff under Eric Brown. And I was friending, friends that I knew in real life. Nobody, my music wasn't going anywhere. It had 14 plays. Nobody cared. Nobody was checking it out. It was great music, but nobody cared. And then Micah, the girl that I was dating, she let her mom hear my music, and her mom loved it. Her mom asked if she could manage me. And I was like, sure, whatever. Yeah, great. And so she started another Facebook page. And she started out with Eric Brown. And I was like, actually, no, let's do another name. Okay. Let's do Coda Cannon. Coda Cannon. That was, the name I chose. Coda is my name in heaven. Cannon is Coda Cannon is It's a play off of the Code of Canon, which is the laws of the Catholic Church. The Code of Canon. So I'm Coda Canon. That was my name. That was my band name, whatever. And that's why everybody in Germany calls me Coda, which is awesome because they treat me so much better in Germany. Like, especially the men. Nobody competes with me. And it's just amazing. Like, you know, not only are they not competing with me, they love me and they want me to stay long and just drink with them all night long. And they buy me drinks and they love to see me drunk, even though I don't like to drink. But they're not going to be satisfied until, you know, we're all walking home holding each other up. And that's the only place in Germany that I ever get that drunk. Because I don't like feeling inebriated. But the way the Germans say please is hard for me to resist. In America, it's like, please, 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 please. And you're like, shut up, no, go. But in Germany, it's bitte. That, in my opinion, is the most beautiful word in all the languages that I know. And I know a few. But bitte, like, especially like a kid, bitte, it's like there's so much heart in it, and I'm just like, oh my god, okay, we're gonna go outside. It is cold. Lily wants to play outside. My 4-year-old niece. It's cold, but you know, I'd want to sit here and watch Simpsons with Nick, but you know, Lily wants to go outside. I can only take about 3 or 4 bits before I put on my coat and take her outside. So, German men are my friends. Every other male on earth, I just have to keep at arm's length. Because if they get to know me more, they're going to become jealous of me. It's just the way that it is. I had an uncle who I love, that came to our house, our lake house in Lake Caroline, right? Saw not only my multiple girlfriends and then their friends, and you know, like, it is what it is. And all my friends, Tommy and Scott and all of these, they're all just super jealous of me for my talents and my gifts, and I'm surrounded by women and all of this stuff. But all that changed when I went to heaven. And it's funny, the first time I went to heaven, I was chasing some kitty cat. Seriously, I was trying to astral project so I could see this girl who worked at the Fredericksburg auto auction with us. I wanted to see this girl naked for so long, and now she's in the downstairs bathroom taking a shower. And I just had the thought, maybe I could just, you know, leave my body, astral project, fly down, see her naked in the shower. You know, I would like that very much. And regardless of if my spirit was literally down there, or maybe it was just, you know, I imagined it, you know, down. But whatever the case, I'm going to see this girl naked. So I had a window of time, right? So I was really, really on my game. I was really concentrating. Because it's like, I need to time this right. I need to do this, you know, get up there while she's in the shower. So I just knew I could do it. I was determined to do it, you know, and I started feeling my spirit go. And instead of flying around the house and going downstairs, seeing this girl in the shower, I went through a tunnel. And then realized, you know, I was not in Kansas anymore. Learned a few things about life, reality, senses, dimensions, spatial dimensions, the way things really are. And then realized that this world right here in 3-dimensional reality of space and time, I don't know, the best way I can compare it to is like a cartoon. Actually, this is a perfect way to compare it. Let's say Bugs Bunny, right? In a cartoon. He lives in 2D land. You know, that's a flat. just a flat, like just a picture of Bugs Bunny, right? In his element, right? Bugs can go up vertically, he can go across horizontally, but he has no depth. All right? He's two dimensions. But if there was some way you can give Bugs Bunny three-dimensional glasses, he could see this carrot coming towards him, right? But without these 3D glasses, if he's only ever seen a two-dimensional world, trying to explain to him what a three-dimensional carrot looks like is going to be impossible. They'll be similar. Yeah, it's a carrot, it's orange, right? It's shaped, yeah, like that, and it has a little green stuff out there, but there are rings around the carrot. And, he can't do it. It can roll. There's all the, it can come towards you, go away from you, all of this stuff. He does not understand this third dimension, right? Now, there's three dimensions, three spatial dimensions. There's a time dimension. When you leave the 3D plus the one time dimension, you enter fifth dimensional reality. And I wish I could just take every pastor up and just show them, fifth dimensional reality, so they can go to their congregations and, confess to them. They have no idea what is waiting for us. They didn't. Now they know. Nothing. Everything they were saying, it was the streets of gold. And I walked in the Crystal Lake, right? And then when I walked out, my clothes were dry. And we just stood around the throne room of God and listening to, I can sing of your love forever. We're going to sing the song forever. And then Jimi Hendrix, and James Brown, and Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, the Beatles, all these great legends of music, they're just all sitting there with their eyes closed, raising their hands up in the air, listening to this crazy, stupid song that, I'm so tired of this song. I don't know why. That's I don't know if you remember Now This Is Music. They had a Christian music. That's I can sing of your love forever. And then it's just I don't know. Jesus isn't listening to that. That's not what heaven's listening to. Christians, or nobody, unless you've been to the other side, you have no idea and no way to comprehend. There are colors that you've never seen before. And they make music. And everything is moving. It's impossible to explain how you can, look at yourself, look at somebody else, see yourself from a third. You're doing all this stuff at the same time. It's impossible. And then the way that we communicate there, it's just amazing. And I can't explain it. But it is what it is. I've been there. So, Mother, when I asked you in the car if you believed that I was really Jesus' son and that I went to heaven in a lucid dream, and then I challenged you, I was like, you're not going to have the courage to give me an honest answer. And you rose to that challenge. And you said yes and no. And that was the last thing I said to you. And until, weeks, who knows how long later. Because my sonship is the most special thing. That's what I treasure most of all. I wouldn't trade my sonship for anything. That's what's most important to me. Daryl Brown, my biological father, died right before my third birthday. I remember him. My memory started right around June and July, a few months before my October 14th birthday. So that whole summer, I remember I was playing basketball, me skinning my knee, me getting the scab, walking across the street, getting some M&Ms riding on the front of his motorcycle, all of this stuff. I also remember my third birthday. It was heartbreak. I was so sad. And there's a picture I saw of me sitting on Uncle Cornelius. I used to call him Rocky, mother's brother, sitting on his lap. And both of us just look like we just are miserable. Just a sad, because his birthday is October 13th. So we're celebrating both of our birthdays. We both look sad. I don't know why he looked sad. Maybe because I was sitting on his lap. He didn't like me. I don't know. But I know I was sad. And I was a daddy's boy. I later became a mother's boy. But had he lived, I would have been a daddy's boy. I'm a father's boy. That's my role. That's who I am in my heart. So I'm a son. So when I have no father, it is going to bother me because that hole, that vacuum, that is like there's something missing. So, and then mother met Barky. Like less than a year, I think. Or right around a year after our father passed. And they probably started off slow or whatever, and they were just kind of friends for a while. But Barky was great. Barky taught me to ride a bike. And Joy loved Barky. Joy doesn't remember our dad. Joy remembers Barky. And Joy had Joy back then. Joy used to ride Barky like she did not walk when we went outside. When we went to the park or wherever we went, she was piggybacking on Barky. And he would say something and he was like, "You're silly." And she would so all of that changed when I asked Mommy where was Barky because we hadn't seen him for a while. And then she tells us that, she could not, basically he was not coming around anymore because he wasn't a Christian. And I didn't accept. I was like, okay, well, and she said, she quoted the scripture, the Pastor Randy taught, of course. So another reason why I freaking can't stand him. I have a list, but, the Bible says, do not be unequally yoked. And I'm a Christian, and Barky's not a Christian. And, that's unequally yoked. And I was just like, well, what if Barky asked Jesus into his heart on Christmas? And I don't know why I said on Christmas, but that's what I said. And anyway, she had made up her mind. And Joy was really, she was standing by me. She was concerned. She wanted Barky back too. So she just, was hoping that, that we were on the same side. We want Barky back. Our lives would have been bliss, utopia, nirvana, heaven. If Mommy would have stayed with Barky. He was so cool. He was fun. He taught me how to ride a bicycle in probably about 20 minutes. And like my stepfather, I can imagine George. I probably wouldn't be able to ride a bike now if George was teaching me to ride a bike. Probably, a spanking, all this, he was crazy and he's insane. And Grandma hated him, especially after she saw what he did to my room. He wanted perfection, and he believed that all things must be done to the glory of God, right? So that was his, if it's not perfection, basically is, if it's not if it's not perfect, then that's a sin. And that was his philosophy. The philosophy of George is perfection. So one day, because cleaning my room was such an issue one day grandma came over to help me, or she was already there, and I asked her if she could help me. But anyway, she helped me clean my room. We did the best we could. When it was done, and we both decided it was clean, grandma went back downstairs. And I don't know where grandma was when George walked into the house, but he did not see grandma there. Right? He came up to my room, did his little inspection, walked into my closet. This is like, now we're getting to some trauma here. I'm going to try not to cry. We had this little Nerf ping pong set. And one ping pong was on one shelf. And one ping pong paddle was another shelf. He told me where the ping pong paddles were supposed to be. In the box. And then he trashed my room like he was a SWAT team looking for drugs. And the whole time he's doing it, I can't believe what's happening. So anyway, he leaves. I'm sitting on the floor, crying, like my heart out. I'm surrounded, like I'm in the crazy, like it's just my room. He just tossed it, and he had never done it that bad before. He would just mess up the closet, and then I have to do it again. But he never went and just tossed the entire room. Broke my Voltron, my favorite toy. He broke the green lion that went on the left arm. Okay, that was gone. My favorite toy. Voltron only came in to save the day. Then he went back up. That was my favorite toy. And he broke it. Because of a stupid ping pong paddle that I forgot to put in the box. And so I was crying. And this time I was like, I want to die. I'm in the box. I want to die. I'm in the box. That's what I always said to God. And he knows exactly what I'm talking about when I say I'm in the box. And then I remember my tears dried. I was like, Grandma's here. Oh, Grandma helped me clean this. Oh, he's dead. And I knew it. Then, this is give me some insight in my character. Now, I'm happy now. But I need to keep it going, So I walked downstairs, and I started again. Now, I'm acting. Because I already knew when Grandma saw that room, she was going to, flip out and do something. I knew. I was like, she's going to rip him a new ass. That's exactly what she did. She walked up. She saw that room. She looked at me. She looked at and did he do this? And I'm like, yeah. I've never heard, somebody talk. I've never heard Grandma talk like that to anybody. I've never heard anybody get chewed out like that. And the stuff that she said to him, oh my gosh, she was just ruthless. Like his wide nose, blah, blah, she was just everything. Like, she was just saying so much stuff. And then she kind of threatened him. And so that was cool. That's how that ended. And he didn't do that shit again. He did other stuff until finally, at 13 years old, in lieu of football, Mommy let me take karate. Because me and James Gilbert were going to go play football. And she didn't want that. And I've been trying to take karate for a while. George said no, because it's martial arts and the meditation and blah, blah, blah. But Mommy allowed it. And we used to spar after class. And anyway, for whatever reason, my instructor, Mark, decided he was going to jump at the end of the line and spar. And all I got to say, I messed Mark up. Like, I messed him up, like, as the 13-year-old kid. I'm not making this up. I messed him up. I was too fast for him. He jumped up. Like, he was trying to do something. Anyway, my foot caught his balls. And I didn't mean to, but I gave him the most hellacious nut shot. I could feel, man. It's like, oh, I couldn't. But I could almost feel, like, one of his nuts, squishing. the way that it felt, I knew it hurt so bad. And he went down and he was just like in agony. So, fast forward to I don't know how long. We're in the grocery store, preparing for a camping trip. We're in the drink. I'm getting, drink for my lunch. I put a Gatorade in the basket. He takes the Gatorade and puts it back. I'm like, what is he doing? He's like, you get water. So he walks over to a water. He gets a little individual water. Like we go from a big Gatorade, right, to this little skinny bottle of water. And I was like, I don't know who, I was like, fuck. Because I'm sitting here thinking about it. Okay, so everybody in that camp trip is going to have this Gatorade. They're going to be different colors and different flavors, but everybody was going to have a Gatorade. Because that's what we did. Everybody wore Nike jackets. Everybody had the Huaraches, the shoes. Everybody had the Jordan 6s. Everybody did everything. So, for whatever reason, George decided that I was going to be the only kid. Everybody was going to have a Gatorade, but I'm going to have the little dinky water, right? And then I'm thinking about Rick, looking over and just kind of smiling and laughing. And then I'm thinking about the fact that I could get dehydrated. This isn't enough fluid. All of this stuff. And that's when, So he walks up, puts this water in the basket, right? Walks away, turns around, kind of gives me a snicker, and then started walking back. And it was a snicker that's when the monster was born. I took that shopping cart as hard as I fucking could and just slammed it into it. I got to run his truck, bow! And he had no idea what was going on. And so he's kind of trying to get his balance. He didn't fall, but he almost fell. But by the time he righted himself up, he got hit in the head with a high C can. And he's looking at me, and I know I look crazy, right? And now, I see a fear in his eyes, and I scream at the top of my lungs, "You're not my father!" Just screaming, right? He tries to go out the aisle. I run behind him. He runs all the way back down the aisle. I run after him. And anyway, I run after him until he ran out the store. And I don't know where, but I had to get home somehow. And anyway. And I remember Mommy was just like, "Over a Gatorade?" That's what she said to me. She was like, "Yeah." But, that was pretty much, it for the abuse. He didn't hit me after that. He didn't do anything after that. He used to see my eyes and say there's rebellion in his eyes. And the only time Mommy would really take up for me and stop him, it was with the eyes thing. Because she's like, "Keith, he's frustrated. He's frustrated." And yeah, but he's a rebellion in my eyes, right? He always saw rebellion in my eyes when I looked at him. So I would have to kind of look down. But sometimes he would say something so stupid, or he would just, and I would look up at him, and then he would see the rebellion, and then he's trying to do something. But anyway, all that shit went out the window. And it wasn't too long after that, he separated, he left the house, and thank God, I was happy to see him go. I still loved him, and I was worried about him, how is he going to eat, and, he doesn't really cook, all of this stuff, but I was happy he was gone. That was a weird, weird, weird time, from the ages of 7 to 13. I got through it, but that was a hard 6 years. I thought God answered my prayer because I wanted a father. And then Mommy met him. I thought I had a father. That was not an answer to a prayer. That was a nightmare. And that I had to endure. And I did, and it made me stronger. He loved to mentally overwhelm me. he told my coach the best way to get the best out of me is to put pressure on me. I was the best under pressure. So that's why Coach Hefty would, walk up. Like, you can, if I told you this, you wouldn't even believe it. Look at a baseball coach, a lawyer, a whole team, all our coaches were lawyers, and we sucked. But Coach Hefty was the worst. But yeah, he would wait to the ninth inning, right? Like, you're still not gonna believe the ninth inning. 2 outs, 1 ball, and then he would walk out to center field and call me in. And not only could I not believe what was happening, Mommy couldn't believe it, Grandma couldn't believe it, all of the stands, I know, which is what in the world, you couldn't get. So I was like, okay, I've got, I cannot really throw too many balls, right? And anyway, I always like that, and I guess it worked because I did not lose a set. Every time he did that, I actually won. I pitched great, and we won the game. And I think it happened 3 times. But Grandma was like, I hate women. But anyway, it was because of George. He told him that, and yeah, that's how he got the. So, he was just a different dude. But I realized, and I'm gonna wrap this up. I realized that George did not love me, and George was not proud of me and never would be. My best would never, ever, ever be good enough for George. But for him, in my mind, I wanted a dad as much as, he put me through. I wanted him a dad. I looked at him like a dad. And so it would hurt my heart when I got fired for trying to keep the only white student in all of middle school, TRAPE, at Renaissance Academy. TRAPE is the program for all the kids with just the bad behavior. Nothing else, just bad behavior. The worst class, the 8th grade class, the nastiest girl in all of Virginia Beach, about 50 light years, bullying the only white kid. And why? Because she asked me what Becca was. And I told her, do you have a girlfriend? No. And and I said something about my ex-girlfriend, and she asked, is she white or black? And I said she was white. I wish I would have gone, she was mixed or Puerto Rican or whatever. She made this weird face, and then all of a sudden she hated me. And then she hated Sean for being white. And then when I went and, let Sean go get to the water fountain, right, before her, she asked to go to the bathroom, early in the morning, but I was the only teacher in there. So I had to wait till somebody else comes in. So I told her she'd have to wait till another teacher came in. And then she forgot about it. But the truth is, she just wanted to go see her little boyfriend, where she had to walk past his class to get to the bathroom. And I knew it. Yeah, everybody knew it. But anyway, and now our water fountain was right beside our door. So all Sean had to do was go up, get some water. He raised his hand, can I get some water? And then Jariah is like, Mr. Brown, what about me? The bathroom. And I said, yeah. Okay, I was like, but just let him, it's right there. Anyway, so I'll let Sean go get the water. And that was in the morning. I would have to say, she probably called me ugly 35 times. And when I said something, he called me ugly again. I said, at least I'm not ugly on the inside, right? Miss Hall, the nastiest ass teacher, who I guarantee has an IQ, probably an 85. She got her degree, online. She didn't know what she was talking about. She gave the worst lesson The worst lesson, science, like, you couldn't even call that a lesson. All she did was sit on her computer all day, go on Walmart, and look for stuff. And the reason why I found that out is because Jariah was looking like, you're always on Walmart. And she gave some excuse. So anyway, that was the teacher. The worst teacher ever. And and I was just like, I made a comment like, yeah, you probably called me ugly like 35 times today. And then Miss Hall said, it wasn't 35 times. That's what she said. And I was like, 18? And anyway, but Ms. Hall hated me. On the third day, she told me to take Jariah out of the classroom because Jariah said something defying her. She said, take her out of here. And I was like, I look back at her and like, I'm not putting my hands on this girl because she's sitting on a staff chair and she said something to you that you didn't like. And anyway, she told me that was my job. I said, that was not my job. We just watched a video. Defiance is not a valid reason to put hands on a child. You put hands on a child if they are a danger to themselves or a danger to others. But define or get up or sit down or any of that stuff, you do not put hands on a child. My common sense tells me that. So I told her that. She did not like it. She kept talking, to different teachers, telling them the situation. They all told her that, yeah, in that situation, probably not. And then our supervisor said, yeah, because it's just, it would have turned into, a hold. And yeah, and then you do a hold, you got paperwork. And I don't know what she wanted me to say on the paperwork. It would have made me look stupid. Like, what was the antecedent behavior? The child was sitting in the staff chair, after repeated attempts to, teacher asked him to get out. She said no. So I initiated a hold. But from that point on, she hated me, Ms. Hall. So you got the nastiest teacher on earth, the nastiest girl on earth. Both of them are totally fine with Jariah bullying Sean, the white kid, out of his mind. Saying the craziest shit. You white pussy fag. I mean, I think that girl was tormented by a demon. She's the nastiest human being I've ever met. And Sean didn't really care. The only thing Sean cared about, and Sean was so cool, the only thing he cared about was every time she said that this dude Douglas, a black kid who he had beef with, they kind of got into a fight. She kept saying Douglas kicked his ass. And she wasn't even there. She was suspended, so she didn't know. But she knew it got a rise out of him. And I kept telling her, Sean, she's just saying that because it's just getting... She knows that she wasn't there. I was like, how do you know? And so anyway, but she kept doing it. And then I could tell one day it was really, really starting to bother him. And I said, Jariah, stop. You're bullying him. And then she said, he called me Billy. He called me Billy. And then Miss Hall's dumbass tells me that I cannot say the word bully. And then the SOL coordinator of Virginia just so happened to be in the school, in the hallway, heard the commotion. She comes inside. She double downs on Miss Hall's stupidity and then tells me, well, actually, technically, it's illegal to say the word bully. And I said, technically, it's not. Right? That's what I got fired for. Okay? That's what I got fired for. That's what I said that got me fired. And so the reason why I was so out of sorts at Aria's birthday party, the reason why Michaela said everybody was afraid of me, which was silly, but I was no danger to anybody's safety. The only danger was, I was trying to keep it together so I wouldn't burst out in tears. My last day as TA, before I started my new job as the 9th and 10th history teacher, $20,000 raise. I worked on this curriculum for about 3 weeks. I was ready. Everything was going. I was at the high point of my life. I told my psychiatrist, I had to knock on wood because everything was going on right. I was talking to this girl. She had a cleaning business. I made up all these beautiful flyers. We had this plan. And then it all went away. Because I tried to take up. So I knew I was going to get fired. So that night, I went home. I drank 3/4, more than 3/4. I drank almost an entire bottle of American honey whiskey. Then I think I took 4 or 5 Ambiens. I forgot. I took more than 3. I know that. Because I did not want to wake up until like at least noon. I didn't want to wake up in the middle of the night to get to the bathroom. Because it'll be on my mind. I wouldn't be able to get back to... I just wanted to go for a while. And so that's what I did. I woke up probably around 2 o'clock. Got myself together. Drove to Arya's party. Was kind of walking around in a fog. Almost like I was in shock. I see Arya. She runs up to me. And last time I saw her, those were Eric. And I picked her up and hugged her. And it felt so good. And that was the first time I felt happiness and love. And I just love her so much. And I put her down. Went back into the room. Talked to people. Feeling like I was in shock. But what really broke me up is when I told Joy the situation. And she started making an excuse. How the administrator... Eric, you can't say that because it's with the administrator. Blah, blah. I said, Joy, she said a word was illegal. And Joy just wasn't hearing it. And the thing is, what I told Joy before, what I told her right before I went outside and burst into tears, I told her that I knew she was going to side with them. I knew. And then I told her that you would side with the devil himself if he had a problem or a disagreement with me. She would be the devil's advocate. Now, had I been anybody else, like her friend, or her husband, or anybody else, on earth, a lunch lady, that did a solid favor and she's going to give some legal advice to, that would sound like nonsense to her. And Joy would be like, no, that. But because it was me, she had to roll with the dummy team. And that's when I went in my car and just screamed and cried. And I was just like screaming. And I was just, I'm done. I was talking about I'm done with the black race. I was just like, I'm done. I'm fucking done. Fuck you. You got someone? Fuck you. I was just so done. You don't want to find whatever. I don't need to be there. I'll be white. Everybody already thinks I'm white. Black people tell me I'm not black. All of this shit. We're having before we had another argument. Whether white people, or whether black people can be racist. And I was like, yeah, black people are the most racist ones. Ugh. That's true. I can speak from experience, okay? You're not gonna just have a white dude just not since like 1964. But black folks feel, just entitled to, I don't know, to act how they want to act, and they feel that they can't be racist, and it's not racist because they don't have the power to blah 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 blah. I was like, if that's the case, okay, so black people are pretty much the only people that can't be racist, right? So that means that black people are more noble than everybody else on the earth, because they are the only people who aren't racist. Like, that does not make sense, So all of these things just led me to this place now, because had I not been fired, had I not come off of my insurance, had I not come off the radar, none of this stuff would be happening to where I am now. Now, I just got off of a life-changing phone call. I'll tell you more about it. It had nothing to do with music, politics. It was with the Libertarian 2nd District Chair, which is the seat that I want to run for, against Jen Kiggans, the Republican, and Elaine Luria, the Democrat. And the vice chair and the chair of the Virginia Libertarian Party. And they were grilling me questions. I was knocking those things out of the stadium. So much so that they got really excited. Informed me that nobody really likes Jen Kiggans at all. The grassroots, led by my friend Waverly Woods. He was surprised I knew Waverly. Yeah, I know Wade. I know Wade for a while. So he's like, well, he wants me to go to a Tea Party meeting and talk to them, and just present what I've been telling to them. First of all, we got to nationalize the Federal Reserve. 90% of our problems would disappear. We just, take the money and the power to create money out of thin air and then charge us debt for it, give it back to the U.S. Treasury, which belongs to the people, where it was intended to be and where it was until 1913, when Congress passed the Federal Reserve Act that empowered this private bank. Instead of to give us currency, they press Federal Reserve notes. And they tax us. They call it a bite. Every single time, every dollar that they print, or they, bring into existence, by numbers on the screen, they take a tiny, teeny little bite out of every single one. And these people, just happen to be the most powerful families on earth. There's so much that I could tell you about these folks that you wouldn't believe. But all I will say is they are pagans. They are pure Luciferians. In the dark, you cannot imagine how dark. Especially because I bet you nobody watched that damn video. Y'all were scared, weren't you? Were you scared? You think that he was going to conjure up a demon in your room? I know Tim did not watch it. Did you, Tim? I know you wanted no part of that shit. And it's hard to watch. For me. I could watch it for about 2 minutes. I'm like, okay. Whew. And it is crazy. It's like, look, it doesn't even look. But anyway, that's the thing. This is how they worship. Now imagine you had that guy right there. Right there. And I know who that dude is, but he affords me more respect than my sister and my mama. And he sees more potential in me. They recognize that I have talent and gifts, but they don't think I have the character to keep me there. Or to not mess things up and not embarrass myself and embarrass the family and all of this stuff. And the only reason they think that is because of Joy. I forgive Mommy. I understand. Joy could talk to a person for 5 minutes. I don't know what she says. I would love to hear what she says about me, because whatever she says, it does the trick. And they will think nothing of me. Joy will put every man on earth above me. And part of the reason is because she has a thing for men, kind of men issues, male issues. That's to be expected. But 2, she's jealous of me. And when Grandma told me that, I did not believe her. And I was like, what is she jealous of? Everybody likes her. She's got the beautiful brown skin, the nice hair. I would trade that for in a million. Give me your skin color. Give me your texture hair. Your athletic skills. The fact that everybody likes you. The fact that you have a memory, that you only have to read. Like, all of this stuff. You don't have ADD. You have Adderall running through your bloodstream. All of this stuff, I would trade if Joy was able to do the job. But no, I am who I am. I'm a son of my father. And the beautiful thing is, I know that Jesus rules. If I believe it, so it is. That's reality. If I believe it, so it is. And the way I know my father in my heart, let's say just hypothetically I wasn't, because I wanted it so bad, and that's what I want most on earth, a father, because if he is not my heavenly father, then I'm a bastard and I don't have a father. Right? But I need a father, and I want a father, and I have a father. Better than any father I could have ever had. Daryl Brown is my brother. I've never met him before. I've seen it, but one day I will. And George, now that I know he does not love me, I outed him and Randy. They are gay. They are gay lords. And if they are straight, then I am gay. Okay? If you think George likes women, you're crazy. If you think Pastor Randy has ever made Cherie orgasm, you're crazy. You think he's walking around all day long praying in the spirit, or building the kingdom of God, or in Africa leading people to the Lord, or all of this stuff. He is a Luciferian. He's a Luciferian, and people cannot, they can believe that I am, because he tells people that I'm worshiping the devil and all this stupid stuff. They can believe that, I have a bad heart. And like I was telling Karen, she can't believe that my mom and my sister think I'm selfish. Yes, they do. They think I'm supremely selfish. And they just don't understand how. Because that's the exact antithesis of me. I'm not selfish. I'm selfless. A case could be made before I went to heaven. Yeah. I cared about the general, my own, and all of this stuff. But the person that I was then, I'm not the same person. Now I am ready for everything that I have. Power has been given to me, entrusted to me by my Father to do whatever I want to do. Okay? Starting May 25th, as we enter the age of Aquarius, out of that nightmare age of horrors that we've been in for like ever. We're back, we're in harmony, understanding, like the old song from the 60s. By the fifth dimension, ironically. It's crazy. Let the sun. It's like, I love that song. It's by the fifth dimension. We are in the age of Aquarius. And now, okay, I'm the man here. So that's why I'm establishing now. It's like, okay, I am not going to have anybody question me ever again. If I say something so fucking crazy that you just trust me. It's like if I'm writing a song, it's like, okay, play this bass line, and that doesn't make sense. That's not in key. It's like, but it will be in key when I play these two, when I have this keyboard and this guitar, coming in, and it will form a chord, and now we will be in key. Just play the bass. No, play the bass, man. Trust me. I can hear it in my head. It's not like if I can hear it, I know it. Like I can do it. No. That's how, boy, I love the people who are just like, okay, fine, man. It just sound, and then I showed it to them, and then they realize, yeah, that does sound, and they're smiling and stuff. Well, that's how it is with me. Some of the stuff I do might not make sense, but my God is with me, A. B, I have good judgment. 3, I'm a man after my own heart. 4, I'm his son, and that's what I want most in life. That's what is most important to me. And 5, I seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And that's why I long to grow kids. That's what I want to do. So when Joy tells me I don't need to be around kids anymore, because that bitch fired me, or I need to be on Vraylar, or committed, or that I'm a threat to kill her or Michaela. Like, I wrote Michaela's song. The same person that had the heart enough to write that song, I'm going to turn her out and kill her? I want to throw her into the ocean sometimes, but I don't want to kill her. That's crazy. I don't have a murderous spirit. I'm not the one with the murderous spirit. Okay? One of us does have a murderous spirit, and that's what was told to me. And it just when this spiritual entity, like everything he said to me, it makes perfect sense. Right? Because all of a sudden it's like eureka, the light bulb goes off. I see that, and so he's telling me a lot of stuff about a lot of people. He was the one who told me about Randy and George being a partner. I saw it, and I saw it in a way that you can't explain. But I know it made sense. I was like, oh, that's it. That's it. Oh, my gosh. So that's when I went on Facebook, and I just outed them. Let them sue me. Yeah, they don't like women. You kind of know. Especially if you're powerful. If you ever been a powerful man and y'all sitting around, chopping it up, women are going to come up sometime in that conversation. All right? Or the pursuit of women, or hey, let's have an idea. Why don't we call some, we need some bitches, man. That kind of thing. When it's not, okay? That's how it is. But, this is the thing, and I'm going to ask a question. And I'm going to give a courage token to the person who could please answer me this question. Please, God. Family, comment. That's me asking God. Please, somebody. Please. Somebody. Somebody and give me an answer. Okay, I want to know what my sister said that I said before I went crazy and chased her down the hall. I remember the first part, but I cannot remember for the life of me I have no father. I know for sure she said that. And then there was something else. And I was like, it can't be what I think it is. It can't be that. Because it can't be that. So, I know that she told me the story. And I was like, I did not say that. And she's like, yeah. Like, okay, you are literally saying I said the very last thing I would ever say. I have no father? Really? I asked her for $20 because they killed my phone. They killed my iPad. I'm walking down the street. A van goes up there, 100 feet past me, right? Sparks. These two men come up, and I realize they're coming to talk to me. Make a long story short, I answer a bunch of questions, and I leave. And they had to do it, because I was going to leave, because they were asking me. I was like, I'm not getting in that van. Are y'all crazy? And then then they said something, and I was like, okay, what if I just turn around and ran away? Can you catch me? And anyway, what he said to me just let me know. I was like, okay, that's true. Damn, I need to get out of here. So that's why I went to that, and I tried to get my mom to give me $20 to get a phone, a disposable phone, a burner phone, so I could call my friend Dina, the flight attendant, and she could get me on a plane out to LA. And I would go to Malibu, right? The woods in Malibu. And they would not. I wish they would come up with those haunted woods. I would be ready for them. But then I was like, they're not coming here. But Joy, and then I talked to Joy. She said no. And I was like, Joy. And then she said, if they can find you here, they can find you there. Right? I told her, that's the dumbest. If they can find you at your house, in or around your neighborhood, they can find you anywhere on earth. That did not make sense. But that's the logic, the twisted logic that Joy was on. So finally I realized, I almost started crying. Because I realized I was sitting there, I was like, Joy, and then I got that, because I turned that brokenheartedness to anger. Like, if they kill me, I'm not going to the lake. I'm gonna haunt your ass. And then she smirked. Said God will protect her. And just like that smirk with George, that's the shit that sent me out. Oh, really? And she knew when I said that. My voice got a little deeper. I said, really? And I looked at her. Like, let's see if God protects you now. I took my two fingers and I put them on her, and I pushed her in the chest to break that. I don't give a fuck. Yes, I just touch you. I just push you. What you gonna do? Well, she didn't call out for God. She ran down the hall. I didn't let her out. For a while, I kind of had her cornered. But anyway, she finally broke out. Some dude come. Well, first, mommy starts running, and I'm mad at her too because she wouldn't give me the $20. So I run alongside of her. Right? They say I tackled her, but a tackle is when you go down with him. I stiff armed her running, and I'm sorry, but she rolled around like 3 times, jumped up and started running. That's how I know she did not have 3 broken ribs. Okay, if she had 3 broken ribs, really, like that's impossible. Impossible. I know she did not have 3 broken ribs. Okay, because Laura got 2 broken ribs from a horse. Jason, 2 broken ribs because this horse sandwiched her between himself and the fence. She broke 2, and she could not move. And Jason wanted to kill the horse. So, with 3 broken ribs, mommy rolling around, jumping up, running up, but she's telling the cop, making me look like a nightmare of a son. What kind of stuff will break 3 of his ribs, mom? And I wasn't trying to, and I was tripping too. I understand that. I was on the edge because I'm trying not to die. If I put the same people after you, put you in the same situation, let's see how you feel. I wanted to get out. I wanted to, it's like, but now it's a different story. We've come a long way. Our time has come. I love you all very, very much. And thank you for all your help.